Thanos has been a terrifying, looming presence in the MCU for over a decade, and he's come a long way since he was just the guy in the floating chair. He's proven he's not afraid to get his hands dirty, and some of our favorite Marvel heroes have suffered as a result. Now that Avengers Endgame has been released, and we're inching closer to the end of Phase 4, let's take a look back at some of our favorite moments involving the Mad Titan. The Decimation. The Marvel Cinematic Universe has an impressive rogue gallery, but more often than not, these insidious villains are defeated before they can complete their dastardly deeds. There are very few MCU bad guys who ever successfully completed their evil mission, and even fewer who live to keep fighting the bad fight. So let's start out by remembering that time Thanos managed to ruin the day by actually completing one evil mission with a snap of his fingers. The Decimation was the Marvel movie moment heard round the world. Not only did Thanos accomplish his task, but he did so after standing against the Avengers, the Guardians of the Galaxy, the Sorcerer Supreme, and a bevy of other super talented heroes. As we all know, Thanos wasn't after financial gain, revenge, or any other common villain motivation.
Your politics bore me.
Thanos wanted to wipe out half of all life in the universe, and he did just that. In the aftermath, our heroes were devastated, and the world was left torn apart. Perhaps most upsettingly of all, Clint Barton got that terrible haircut we saw in the Avengers Endgame trailer. Were you thinking of that when you snapped your fingers, Thanos? Yeah, you did this. Think about that while you're working on your farm. Double Vision. Sure, he's not always the best at acting like a convincing organic human being, but it's hard not to like Vision. Even Thor's old hammer Mjolnir, rest in peace, recognized Vision as someone of great integrity and worth. And don't forget that the poster boy for being virtuous, Captain America, couldn't even lift Mjolnir, much to his dismay. Not only was Vision a great hero and a great character, but he was one who was loved very deeply by another Avenger. The relationship between Scarlet Witch and Vision was so sweet we knew it couldn't possibly end well, and what do you know, it didn't. The problem was that the Mind Stone was an integral part of Vision, so removing it manually was not an option. But keeping it in place meant Thanos might be able to get his mitts on it. In the end, Vision had to plead with his beloved Wanda to destroy the Mind Stone, even though it meant destroying him. It was a tragic moment, and then Thanos came along and made it way worse. He tends to do that. After a quick rewind with the Time Stone, he crushed Vision to smithereens, claiming the Mind Stone for his own. We had to watch poor Vision perish not once but twice, so thanks a whole lot for that, Thanos. Asgard. In the very first Thor movie, Asgard was made to look like a magical place far more advanced and exciting than Earth. The average Asgardian is far hardier than the average human, and for the most part, their realm enjoyed a great deal of peace and prosperity. But then things got pretty terrible. There were plagues of frost giants and dark elves, and the royal family was constantly fighting with one another and dropping like flies. All of a sudden, living on humble Earth didn't seem so bad. In Thor Ragnarok, things got particularly grim for Asgard when Odin's estranged daughter, Hela, came back. The good news is that Thor and Loki finally worked together, but the bad news is they teamed up to destroy Asgard. Hey, Asgard's about the people, not the place, or at least that's what Thor's telling himself these days. All our beloved heroes were safely on a spaceship headed for their next adventure. And then, of course, Thanos showed up. He managed to take control of a spaceship whose passengers included Thor, Loki, Heimdall, the Incredible Hulk, and a plethora of other Asgardians. Thanos took out Heimdall and Loki like they're nothing, and also completely destroyed the hope we felt at the end of Ragnarok. Sacrifice. Which is worse, being Thanos' favorite child or being Thanos' least favorite child? Nebula grew up thinking Gamora had it easy as their father's favorite, and it's not hard to see why. Whenever Nebula would lose in battle, Thanos would remove one of her body parts and replace it with a cybernetic alternative. Yet Nebula never improved, which makes us wonder what kind of crappy spare parts Thanos was using to patch her up.
You should have killed me.
Would have been a waste of parts.
But Nebula survived the events of Avengers Infinity War, and Gamora didn't, so who's the real winner here? We all know Thanos is a selfish, power-hungry, child-abducting lunatic, but it turns out he's capable of love. A terrible, horrible, toxic kind of love, but that's all he has to offer. In Infinity War, Thanos found the Soul Stone atop of Vormir, a scene which knocked all of our socks off because, oh my gosh, the Red Skull! What are you doing here, bud? Good old Johann Schmidt was punished for grabbing at the Tesseract by having to guard a picky rock for an undetermined amount of time. Red Skull tells Thanos he has to sacrifice someone he loves in order to obtain the Soul Stone. And Gamora laughs because she says Thanos doesn't love nobody. Yikes! Well, hindsight's 2020. Thanos does the unthinkable and chucks Gamora to her doom. We doubt the fact that Thanos actually loved her did much for her on the long way down. Titan. In Avengers Infinity War, a handful of our heroes end up on Titan getting ready to take on Thanos. Not only is this a great Thanos moment, but it also is a scene which inspired no less than 14 million fan theories when Doctor Strange used the Time Stone to look into approximately that many futures. What he saw was apparently not very good, and the battle didn't go much better. On the anti-decimation team, we had Iron Man, Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, Star-Lord, Mantis, Drax the Destroyer, and Thanos' least favorite child, Nebula. It was a tough battle, and all of our heroes worked together and fought valiantly to save the day. Well, everyone except Star-Lord. After he found out Thanos had destroyed Gamora, he reacted with rage, charging at him like classic Star-Lord, really. Maybe this part wasn't particularly surprising, but it ended poorly for the good guys. Mantis broke her hold on Thanos during the struggle, and the Mad Titan was able to take them down. Not only that, but he ended up with barely a scratch after a whole handful of heroes gave him everything they had.
All that for a drop of blood.
After some typical villain trash talk and mockery, Thanos claimed the Time Stone and let Tony Stark live another day. Wakanda. Despite not being featured in the MCU until the movie Black Panther, Wakanda has been the site of some seriously incredible battles already. Sure, Marvel Studios may have lied to us with the trailer that made it seem like the Incredible Hulk was going to be running across the land, but the battle was pretty amazing anyway, and we're definitely not still bitter about being misled or anything like that. Those heroes who didn't end up on Titan attended the Battle of Wakanda, including the Dora Milaje, the Jabari tribe, the Border tribe, and the Wakandan Royal Guard. Not a bad turnout, and everyone involved fought their hardest against the onslaught of Outriders and the remaining members of the Black Order. Things in Wakanda were already pretty insane when Thanos finally made it onto the battlefield. One of the best Thanos moments of the whole battle was when Captain America went up against him. To give credit where credit's due, he actually managed to seemingly stop the Infinity Gauntlet mid-punch. Even Thanos looked pretty surprised before he socked Captain America right in the face with his other hand. Stormbreaker. Thanos arriving at the Battle of Wakanda was an amazing moment, and although all of his subsequent actions were horrible, we have to admit that they were quite exciting to watch. After taking down Captain America, Vision, and Scarlet Witch, Thanos collected the very last Infinity Stone, completing his matching set. This was a moment he had been working towards for so long, and he was finally ready to activate the Infinity Gauntlet and bring about the decimation. Except Thor decided to show up just in the nick of time, or at least it would have been if cooler heads prevailed. After witnessing the brutal extent of Thanos' might and fury, he seemed positively unstoppable when Thor showed up with his shiny new weapon, Stormbreaker. Forged with Uru metal from a dying star, this was a weapon designed to oppose the Infinity Gauntlet, and it was being wielded by an actual god. This should have been a snap, but Thor had to show off.
I told you, you'd die for that.
He aimed a painful blow to Thanos' chest instead of a lethal one to his head, and it wasn't enough to bring down the Mad Titan. Hulk Smash! Now that we've gone over a brief history of the terrible yet exciting things Thanos did in Infinity War, let's go back to the beginning for a moment. Earlier, we talked about the destruction Thanos caused when he boarded the spaceship full of fleeing Asgardians and their allies. He took out Heimdall, someone so powerful even Odin was in awe of him, and Loki, who had proven himself completely indestructible up until this point in time. Even Thor couldn't do anything against Thanos in this scene, but could the Incredible Hulk? Ever since he first showed up in the MCU, Hulk has been heralded as one of the strongest characters out there. Even Thor had to give it everything he had and unlock his godlike powers to defeat Hulk in Ragnarok when they fought in the Grandmaster's arena. So when Hulk squared off against Thanos, we were optimistic. But Thanos punched him right back to Earth. Okay, we know Heimdall managed to send Bruce Banner back to Earth, but that sounded a lot more dramatic. Not only did Thanos deal a mighty blow to one of the strongest beings in the universe, but it was so bad Hulk decided Bruce Banner was on his own for the foreseeable future. Ronan. In the Avengers, we learned that Thanos is a villain who knows how to delegate. In Guardians of the Galaxy, we learned that his favorite daughter and dangerous assassin Gamora had been working against her adopted father Thanos. She was seeking an artifact known as the Orb, which we later learned contained the Power Stone. While Star-Lord sought the object for personal gain, Gamora wanted to keep it safely out of the hands of Thanos, and this meant keeping it away from another one of his lackeys, Ronan the Accuser. Ronan was a Kree who had once been a soldier. It turns out he wasn't loyal to his home planet, so he allied himself with the Mad Titan, but ultimately he wasn't loyal to Thanos either. It seemed like he was doomed from the very beginning of the movie. Even though Thanos was still just a guy in a hovering chair, he managed to be intimidating when he threatened Ronan. Being an enemy of Thanos is dangerous, but sometimes being an ally of his isn't much better. The beginning. There are many reasons Thanos is considered one of the greatest villains in the MCU. Yes, he managed to succeed in pulling off a truly spectacular feat, but he also inspired fear and trepidation in the MCU for years. We've been getting teased with the presence of Thanos since the first Thor movie when eagle-eyed comic book fans caught a glimpse of an Infinity Gauntlet in Thor's vault. Okay, so that turned out to be a fake, but it was still really exciting because it meant something huge was happening. In the major cinematic event that was the Avengers, fans were told that there existed an evil power surpassing that of even Loki himself. He granted Loki the Mind Stone and managed to rain aliens all over New York City. It was a huge event that even terrified Earth's mightiest heroes. And who was behind all of this fear and destruction? Thankfully, we didn't have to wait long to find out, thanks to the classic Marvel mid-credit scene. That was when we got our first glimpse of the Mad Titan and realized there were huge things going down in the MCU. What do you think about these 10 over-the-top moments starring our favorite Mad Titan? Let us know what you think in the comments section below, and then click on that subscribe button for more videos from us here at CBR. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next time.